going?
Yep, can hear myself. This is still weird.
You can hear yourself.
How close am I meant to hold this to my...
So I think you can kind of show you on here. So you can kind of just test it. Oops, if we go down there. Yeah, you can kind of just test it now. So if you like hold it down here.
Yeah, okay, I can
You can kind of hear it. But if you get it right just here.
Oh, boom, okay.
Then it's all boom.
That's the soft spot.
Then it's full boom.
Okay.
I would normally do like all this, but I think it's actually pretty good.
Okay.
I think we're rocking and rolling. This
Yeah.
is the first travelling podcast.
I'm excited.
Holy moly! Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, nice to be on.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
It was kind of by chance, mate, wasn't it? It was I was just sitting, just having a little bite to eat.
Yeah.
And then you came over with your sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you said quite interesting. It was the first conversation you had in 2 weeks, didn't you?
Yeah, our first proper conversation.
Okay.
I've had kind of broken conversations, mostly in French, but I don't really speak French, obviously, so that's...
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had a bit of difficulty communicating along the way.
Yeah, it's been some... We've had the, where are you from? Are you sleeping in a tent? And then that's about it. Then on your way, bonjour, au revoir.
Au revoir. It's very kind of short, sharp conversations, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hold a bit close to you. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a very kind of short, sharp conversation, isn't it? It's not like a long, lengthy thing.
Yeah, I think the longest conversation I had was in the pharmacy, trying to get an inner sole for my shoe.
Okay. How did that go?
Badly. Oh, well, I got an inner sole, so I guess successfully.
Yeah.
So the first, well, when I tried to get the inner sole, I realised I didn't know the word for inner sole or shoe or foot. But I'd already walked into the pharmacy at this point, so I kind of ended up using, like, I don't know, just a mixture of the French words I knew to try and construct a sentence. I was doing all the actions, pointing to my foot, pointing to my knee, saying bad.
Almost like playing a really bad game of charades, you know?
Yeah.
Like, film, 2 words, knee bad.
They didn't have it in stock either, so we ended up, well, they said, oh, we'll get it in the next day, and I went off to a cafe after, and I was sitting there, I was thinking, I could have just ordered a new pair of shoes, could have ordered some blister plasters, but came there the next day, and they did have inner soles.
Oh, really?
And they've worked.
Oh, wow.
Because I've made it, still walking.
You're still walking, although your walking journey started off a bit of a bad. I was going to say a bad foot, but it's more of a bad knee, isn't it?
Bad knee, yeah. So the walking in England was absolutely fine, but
oh, sorry, I should probably mention that you're walking to
Africa.
You're walking to Africa.
Yeah.
Now that is amazing. Yeah.
Still doesn't quite feel real.
Okay. So how long are you into it?
Ooh, I think I'm on day 17 now.
Okay.
I mean, I can't even remember the day of the week anymore.
Yeah.
I'm writing a diary, and that's kind of my way of keeping track of how far in.
You did wonder why things were shut yesterday, and then
I was completely confused. Wandered into a town and thought, this town is dead. Everything's closed. It was the middle of the day, so I thought, France, everything closes in the middle of the day in France. But even the bars and restaurants were shut, and I thought, that's weird.
And then it was Sunday.
Yep.
So
no idea.
So yeah,
now I know. I know it's Monday.
Keep track from here.
Yeah.
So you set off from England 17 days ago. From which part of England did you set off from?
Sussex, Horsham.
From Horsham, okay. And
Yeah.
you got a ferry from
New Haven.
Oh, same. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of New Haven?
I was there for literally a second. I just got off the train and got onto the
Probably
ferry.
too long.
It's not penned as a place that I want to go back and visit for a little holiday. Do you know what I mean?
It's not the top spot to visit. I spent a day there.
Oh yeah, an actual day, right? Well.
Yeah, about a day too much, probably.
What was the highlight of your New Haven adventure?
Oh, well, we did go to the beach, and they have some cliffs, so it's obviously like near the Seven Sisters and stuff. So there are actually really nice cliffs, and you can climb up if you go outside the town, and like really nice views over the sea.
Okay.
Just the town itself is pretty ugly.
Yeah, I think a lot of seaside towns in England have that, all like ferry or port towns.
Yeah,
They just have that air of, I don't know, something about
quite
it. It's
industrial
a bit
and
industrial.
not very. But then you cross over to Dieppe, and Dieppe's lovely, isn't it?
Dieppe beautiful. Yeah. I really enjoyed Dieppe.
The French did something right.
Yeah. Yeah, as I was sort of cycling like through Dieppe, I thought, yeah, these beautiful like cliffs, and the town's really beautiful, and then I got onto this little cycle path, and it was like, okay, right, we've got into some beauty now. Yeah.
Well, I actually slept in a park when I arrived. So it wasn't such a beautiful. So I got the ferry over, and I got a night ferry. And at the time I was thinking, this is a great idea. So I'll get the night ferry, sleep on the ferry, start walking, absolutely sorted. And then I can get out, because the other ferry arrived in the afternoon, and I thought I wouldn't have time to get out of Dieppe. So I got this night ferry. But, I mean, so it turned out that the ferry was quite short. I realised it was only about 5 hours. And then when I went to get on, they were like, oh, you need to put your bag in the hold. And I was the last passenger to get on the ferry. So they just gave me like 1 minute warning. And they're like, do you want anything out of your bag? I'm like, well, everything.
How long have you got?
So I kind of just grabbed a charger out to charge my battery, because I was like, well, that's going to give me directions. At least I can get out. So I kind of got onto the ferry and realised I had like nothing. And there's all these people like lying on the floor with like roll mats, sleeping bags. And then there's just me with like
battery pack.
A battery pack and a waterproof.
And a waterproof. Just what you need inside a ferry.
Yeah. So I was like, I need to get some sleep. So I kind of found these chairs, and all I could find was like 2 U-shaped chairs that were made of really solid wood. So I kind of pushed them together and made myself like a little bed. But my knees are already quite bad at this point. So I'd try and cocoon inside. But I wouldn't really fit, so I'd have to like poke my legs out the top. So then I would like decide that it was too uncomfortable, and I'd push the chairs apart, but then they'd slowly slide more and more apart, and I'd fallen down the middle.
Oh.
And then I'd push them back together, decide it was too uncomfortable, and it was just like a cycle for about 4 hours of not really sleeping.
And that did your knee some damage?
Yeah, that did not help my knee. So eventually I got off the ferry, and they gave me my bag back, and I was like, I hadn't slept. I maybe slept for about 20 minutes. And my knee was really painful. I couldn't walk. So I was like, I just need to sleep somewhere. So I Googled the nearest park and found a park in front of a theatre, and basically just laid my bag against a tree and slept there like a homeless man.
I once met some friends at a festival, but it was just outside of London, and I got the train up, and I think I went out the night before as well, so I was very sleep deprived.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get in the festival until maybe 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd do the same thing, get off the train, found a place to sleep, put my head down, the bag there, and I got woken up about 3 separate times, people being like, are you okay? I'm just like, yeah, I'm just really tired.
Just let me sleep.
I need a bit of sleep. Honestly, I'm fine. Just let me sleep.
Last time I was hiking, actually the first time I did like a long hike, I had like a couple of, because we roughed it quite a lot, because we had the tent, but then like when you're in industrial areas, sometimes you just find shelter because there's nowhere to pitch a tent. So like there was one point where it was like a whole ordeal where I lost my passport and found it again.
Oh.
It's another story, but I ended up sleeping on this bench waiting for this bus, and I was like, well, I wasn't planning to sleep on the bench, so I was sitting on the bench, and then fell asleep, missed the bus,
Yeah.
and there were no more buses, so I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to sleep on the bench. So I kind of got my sleeping bag and curled up, and I was really cold. And it was like a 14-degree sleeping bag, well colder than 14 degrees.
Yeah.
And I looked over, and next to me there was like a homeless man there, and he had like a good pillow, like a nice roll mat, thick duvet. I was so jealous of the homeless man. No, I was looking over, I was like,
Take tips. You should be taking tips.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
It's me
right.
curled up on this park bench shivering.
When did you first start walking? When did the kind of love for walking come?
So the first long hike I did was the Camino in Spain, but it was really not planned. So it was after I graduated. I went to so I got a flight over to Spain and kind of had very little idea of what I was doing, and found some work on a farm, doing like woofing. So I started working on this farm, and the people were just horrible. So, and I had no other plans basically. So after like a week on this farm, I was like, I have to leave. And one of my friends said, "Oh, it's really nice. You can go hiking in the north of Spain." Like I drove past this route on like a caravan or camper van or something, and it's like beautiful. Why don't you go and walk there? So basically, I went back to the city, thought about it for a day, and then booked a bus and started walking.
Okay.
And that was it basically. Walked for like 2 weeks.
Right.
I was completely ill prepared, covered in blisters, like had a bag full of stuff I didn't need. And after 2 weeks, I had some work lined up in France, like harvesting grapes for wine.
Okay.
So I went, harvested these grapes, and then decided I wanted to hike more and hitchhiked back.
Mm.
So carried on walking, did the rest of the Camino,
Oh wow.
and next year, more walking.
Yeah.
And now more walking.
What did you make of the Camino Trail? What was your How do you describe it to someone who hasn't done it?
Loved it. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So the first route I did was the northern route. I mean, the whole route stretches kind of from the French border, but I started in Bilbao, and I guess the whole thing takes about a month or so, but it's really beautiful. So there's a lot of different routes of it, but that route kind of just follows the coastline and a lot of up and down, but you just get spectacular views and you can swim all the time.
Yeah.
I was wild camping half the time, and that was just lovely. So yeah, and a really sociable experience. Lots of people.
Okay. What do you find most kind of I'm trying to say here. What do you find most beautiful about walking? What are the things that you really like treasure and you really you're like, that's why I do this?
That's a good question.
Mm.
I guess the change of pace and the escape, I think, are the main things. So like normally life is pretty hectic, and you end up just kind of slowing down and focusing on today I'm gonna walk, and I need to find food, and I need to find water, and there's no rush to get anywhere. You're just kind of doing the things you need to do for the day, and it's simple.
Yeah, there is a lot of I think we can draw some parallels with cycling too, because there is definitely, I think we spoke yesterday of like there's a massive return to basics. There's a it's just like, okay, what do I actually need to live and survive, like, and that really is food, water.
Yeah, and you don't have all those. I mean, in like normal life, there's all these things you have to worry about, and paying bills and paperwork and like a million things that are on your mind the whole time, and you kind of never stop thinking, right?
Mm.
Whereas when you're walking, you can't really let these things bother you. You just kind of, like, all you've got with you is at most a phone. Well, I guess you've got a full laptop and audio stuff with you, but I mean, you're kind of away more or less from like all the distractions, all the problems of like modernity, right?
Yeah.
Modern life. So it's kind of an escape, really.
Okay. And you're very present, I imagine, as well when you're walking. You're very kind of very in the here and now, taking your surroundings in and.
Yeah, because you're moving at a different pace to. Like, I mean, you see everything, so it gives you a different perspective. I mean, if you like drive along a highway, you just kind of see a flash of green or whatever you're passing, or some buildings, but when you walk, you really do see everything. So it does make you think a lot more, I think. Like, you got you wander past and you see that piece of litter on the floor that you would have missed like driving in a car or something, and then that gets your mind turning. Or you appreciate like nature, you appreciate when you find a shop or something, so things become more important and more significant, and you look at the details a little bit more, I think. Yeah.
We were in New Zealand. We met a guy cycling, and he met a girl who was walking the world.
Wow.
Which was
putting me to shame.
Just walking to Africa.
Feel lazy.
Just keep going, don't stop. But she said something that she noticed was that there were very little ants in New Zealand. And
wow.
I think that's the kind of pace that you're going at when you're walking. You literally notice the finer details of things.
You pick stuff up. Yeah. I think as well, because you're like in the middle of nowhere for a lot of times. So when you come into contact with civilization, your view is kind of every time slightly more different. Like I'm just absolutely amazed by supermarkets now.
Right.
I think I was saying this to you yesterday. I get so excited, like wander in, I want to buy everything because I'm just absolutely like in awe of all the things. Because you're like, you get so used to seeing nothing, and then maybe you'll pass like a village shop and it's just nature, and then you wander into this magical shop that has like anything you could think of.
Yeah.
Whereas normally in everyday life, you're like, oh, I have to go to the supermarket, damn it. And now I'm like, oh, wow. Yes, look at this.
And you get in and there's just this array of like
7 types of jam. It seems magical, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the hunger speaking as well.
I mean, judging by your bag, from what I saw, you definitely shop on a hungry belly, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It's bad.
Or good, depending,
Well,
Nature Valley bars and dark
going to be in the
chocolate.
middle of nowhere. I'm going to appreciate that when I'm sipping on my soup for 3 meals a day. porridge soup for a week or something. Yeah.
What is so when you're walking, how do you keep your mind, I don't say active, but yeah, what kind of things are happening up there? How do you remain, well with yourself, if that is a good way?
Yeah, I think the more you do it, the more you get used to being with your own thoughts. I think in normal day-to-day life, I kind of shut myself out because I think everyone does it really, right? Because it's just easy to do and there's always a distraction. But when you're effectively, all you're doing is moving your legs for 10 hours a day or whatever, you kind of have to think. So like the more I walk, the more time I allow myself to not do anything, and it becomes more comfortable. I think the first couple of days you're like, oh God, don't leave me alone with myself, no. But then I think over the course of it you start, like, I listen to a lot of audiobooks and a lot of music and a lot of podcasts, but I think progressively less as the hike goes on. You feel comfortable just walking, thinking.
Yeah, wow.
It's healthy, I think, right?
So I mean, again, parallels to cycling. I mean, you're active. You're taking in your surroundings, and I think we spoke before, yesterday about how you spend so much of your life. As you said just before this, you spend so much of your life being distracted, and and you're focusing on other things, and doing something like walking or cycling where you are with yourself is perfect time to spend with actually what's going on, and you get to find out what kind of internal voice you've got, and are you kind to yourself? Do you berate yourself for your knee failing or for you getting a puncture, or do you actually have a bit of compassion to yourself, and do you?
Yeah. And I think it fluctuates, but I think you also have more like awareness of your own like fluctuating emotional state and your own like mental well-being, because you have time to process this stuff, which normally you don't. And I think one of the healthiest things is that you can listen to something, but you can't stare at your phone the whole time. I can't walk with my phone in front of me the whole way, or I'm just going to walk into trees, aren't I? So and I mean, like, as long as I know where I'm going, when my phone runs out of battery, I kind of take it as a blessing almost, because I'm like, that's me shut off. I can't reply to anyone. I can't do anything. I'm just going to have to enjoy walking, and that's it. So
that's going to be when you do get that solar charger, that's going to be the dilemma, because you could potentially have battery power all the time. So
yeah, that is a problem, isn't it? But I think I'll listen to stuff, but you also get tired of having a voice in your like in your ear, don't you? I think like it's nice, and it's nice for like a few hours a day, but you can't be listening to something 24/7, or you just want to be like, it's like having someone just talking to you all the time. You're like, shut up. It's been 12 hours now, be quiet.
Unless you're Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry.
Doing Sherlock Holmes.
Yep, stay as long as he wants, Stephen Fry's listening and he wants to come along. Join me for a couple of weeks, that'd be wonderful, Stephen.
You're in your black taxi, give me lifts everywhere.
Yeah, that would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Just
room for
just
him,
the way
2-man tent I've got here, Stephen.
just like the way he like characterizes things, and the way he really goes in depth into really he really seems to live what he's doing when he's talking about
Yeah,
this.
he's very passionate, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. So yeah, listening to Stephen Fry, bit of Sherlock Holmes, it's been helping me.
Remember, I think I was in school, and I think we listened to an audiobook when I was in like year 8 or something, and it was Stephen Fry reading The Philosopher's Stone, and I was just like, wow, I'm absolutely hooked on this. And
yeah, it's great. I'm listening to, I think I said before, I'm listening to these audiobooks of Harry Potter in Spanish, just to practice my Spanish, but it's great, but it's also really frustrating because I know I could be listening to it with Stephen Fry. Part of me that feels like I'm missing out.
Yeah, Stephen Fry in your ears is a lovely concept, isn't it?
Yeah, the Spanish guy's alright, but he's no Fry.
Oh my goodness, Harry Potter!
Harry
Potter, no!
Ron
Weasley.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. You get used to it, but at first it does sound kind of comical. I used to watch a lot of like Netflix stuff in Spanish to practice my Spanish, and some of it is just absolutely wonderful. When you've watched something in English to then watch it in Spanish, it just kind of sounds odd. I used to watch Rick and Morty. I think it was the Meeseeks episode. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen Rick and Morty. No.
Oh, they've got these like little high-pitched characters like, hello, I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Hola, soy el señor Meeseeks, mírame.
You do a really good...
break me every time.
You do a really good little kind of Spanish mouse impression.
Yeah, there we go.
If all else fails.
A lot of wasted hours listening to Rick and Morty in Spanish.
If all else fails, though, and you need to like. If there's ever a remake of that, like what's that Mexican mouse, Thunder Mouse, something.
Yeah. I'll take the part.
That's you, man. That's yours. If anyone's listening, that's yours.
Probably be a lot of Mexicans listening. Like, why is this English guy? Why does the Mexican mouse have an English accent?
Talk to us about Asia. You lived there for a bit, didn't you? Or you're kind of living, but you're not living.
Yeah, I kind of am, will be. So I was living in Saigon. I spent like I guess most of a year there. I booked a one-way flight to Vietnam about just over a year and a half ago, I guess. And stayed in Dalat for a bit. I travelled about, bussed about with a friend, and then drove around on a motorbike for a little while. Learned to drive the motorbike. Was scared for my own life for a while. Got more comfortable driving the motorbike, and then lived in. I actually worked as a motorbike, like an easy rider, so like driving people about for a few days when I was working in a hostel in Dalat. About a month after I'd first sat on a bike.
It's a bit like becoming a bus driver after you've just just passed your test.
Yeah, you qualified for everything in Vietnam. That's what I learned. I was actually at the same point. I was meant to be running a hostel with no experience for a while.
You are literally qualified for everything, aren't you?
Yeah. Yep.
Quantum physics system in
Vietnam. I'll be an English teacher. They're like, nope. You can be a motorbike driver, a taxi, or a hostel owner. Yeah, so I did that, and I was running a hostel supposedly in Dalat for like a month or so, and that fell through. So I moved to Saigon, got work as an English teacher, and was there for about a year, and came back what I thought was on holiday, and then Corona hit.
Corona took over.
Yeah, that holiday lasted for a bit longer than I expected. Vietnam closed the borders, so no going back. Yeah.
What's your impression of Saigon? What do you, for someone living there? What do you make of it?
Loved it. Yeah, amazing city. Absolutely crazy. I think, especially for tourists, it's very intense and quite unfriendly. So most people I knew who visited were like just completely overwhelmed and they hated it. But there's little to do as a tourist, and there's it's really it's not built for tourism. It's built for the however many million, 10, 15 million people living there.
Yeah.
So I mean, motorbikes everywhere, but it's just filled with like a lot of local life, street food, local cafes. The people are friendly, food's good, weather's good.
Yeah, that sounds. You said it was tropical, didn't you? You said it was sort of.
Yeah, 30, 35 degrees most of the time.
Wow.
So warm.
That does sound fun.
Yeah, and the food.
Oh, what was that thing you were telling me of yesterday? That the tofu pudding thing.
Oh yeah, like a warm tofu pudding.
So on the kind of surface, that sounds disgusting. A tofu pudding. I mean, really? I mean, but carry on.
I can try and describe this like an M&S advert or something.
Shall I go for the?
This is not just any tofu pudding. This is hot, warm tofu with coconut sauce, a spicy ginger sugar syrup, chewy tapioca balls. Can't remember what else is in the pudding.
I think
yeah, absolutely delicious. That was good. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, it is. It just sounded like, cause coconut milk, and you said there was like.
Oh yeah.
There was like sugar in there and.
Oh, it was sweet and creamy and a little bit spicy from the ginger. Oh, amazing. Yeah.
That does sound fun. My goodness. What we also you said something yesterday that sort of captured my imagination or my attention.
Yeah.
And that was about the like WhatsApp. The WhatsApp thing. You said that you know how we were talking about the great hack, and we were talking about how, you know, like the Brexit vote was influenced via social media, and then you mentioned something about the WhatsApp thing too, and I was quite like, okay, that's something that needs to be broadcast or shared.
Yeah, well, I'm not very knowledgeable on this, so I'm probably not the best source of information. But yeah, talking about how elections are manipulated through social media, right? And one of the ways in which elections in some countries, I think in Brazil it happened, there's a lot of propaganda posted through WhatsApp groups. I think in other countries it's been through like Facebook a lot of the time, but yeah, in some countries you've seen propaganda through WhatsApp, and because messages are encrypted, it's very hard to track and to like punish people for it.
Yeah.
Or trace it back.
I was quite shocked by that, because I thought because they were encrypted, but you said that there were like, you know, numbers that were paid. What was it? Like special numbers that would create big groups, and then that would then be their kind of.
Yeah, so I think in other countries it's a more common form of people get their information through. I think a lot of people in England get their information through like Facebook, right? And I think in other countries, like big WhatsApp groups, people share a lot of information, and I mean it's easy to manipulate people through this stuff, right? If you're throwing out enough information at a fast enough rate and none of it's being checked, or by the time it is checked, it doesn't matter anymore because you're talking about something else.
Yeah, it's so tricky to kind of know what, because you know you almost nowadays have to be your own filter. You have to really scrutinise what's actually put in front of your face. You know, you have to think of like, where's it come from? Who's the writer of the article, or you know, the writer of the message? Because you know anyone can write, you know, Joe Blogs creates, you know, terrorist attack over such and such, but it's like, you know, is it genuine? Is it actually, you know, validated?
Yeah, it's hard to know. There's no, it's hard for people to have a single reliable news source at the moment, isn't it? There's bias everywhere, and like information is so readily available and so quick that nothing gets checked.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know what to read and believe.
Yeah, it definitely is. You got to be very careful with what you take in and what information you process, I think.
I can't remember who it was who said you have a choice nowadays of being uneducated or miseducated. You either read the news or you don't.
Wow.
Which is an interesting way to think about it, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
you either have no information at all or you likely have the wrong information.
Yeah, God.
It's a minefield.
It's an absolute minefield, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was it. You're also walking to raise money for...
Yes, for a charity called Care for Calais.
Okay.
Which is a great charity. So they work in Calais. It's in the name, I guess. In the French port of Calais, and they help refugees there. Refugees who obviously would rather not be there. They don't want to be in Calais. They're refugees. They'd rather be where they came from in their home country, but they can't be. So they're trying to cross over to England, and they're stuck in Calais, and they're just heavily persecuted by the French authorities. So they're tents are regularly destroyed. The police just steal their sleeping bags, and they kind of give them a minimal amount of supplies, like food and stuff, but not enough. And then recently they've within the last week they've made it illegal to give out supplies to refugees in Calais, which is absolutely mad. So the charity is currently doing work which is effectively illegal, but they're carrying on doing it because obviously these people need to live. So yeah, great cause. So I'm trying to raise money through a GoFundMe page for them.
Okay. What is that GoFundMe page? What's the title or the link to it? Have you got a...
Oh, so
we can put it up in the...
GoFundMe/f/walking-to-Africa, I think. Otherwise, I've got a blog, which I'm posting updates on, which is scottramblesson.com. Yeah. had to put a pun in there, didn't I? So, yep, you can find links there.
I love that.
Or at Walking to Africa on Instagram. No one had taken that. That's how I know I'm the first to do it. So yeah, all of those will have links to the GoFundMe page. Or if you want, just make a donation straight to Care for Calais. Anything's great.
That is fabulous. Thank you very much for agreeing to be, for being the first one on the little travelling part of the podcast.
Yeah, it's great to be on. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
really exciting.
That's great. And yeah, we'll put links up. Yeah, when it goes. I'll probably release this next one, just as a little. So I'll put links up to it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
this is exciting. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been an experience.
It's different, isn't it?
First ever podcast, and we're in a field.
Camped last night, and you decided we go to take your outer tent off to stargaze.
Yep, thought I was going to stargaze. Looked at the stars for a minute, realised I'd already stargazed. Didn't recognise any of the stars apart from one that looks like a W. Then I fell asleep, got kind of wet, got very cold, didn't sleep very much. Regretted taking the outer tent off.
But that's what coffee's for, isn't it?
Yep. Now I'm good to go.
Coffee makes the world better.
If we'd been filming this pre-coffee, it would be a nightmare.
It would have been like two slugs trying to get somewhere and not really functioning sentence. How very French of you.
Yeah, I've been practicing.
That long pause, isn't it?
It's the first word I learned. Yeah.
I think the sun's on my side today. I got a lease of life, I feel okay. Need to call around, get them all out, jump in the car and get on the way. Cause there's love and there's strength in numbers. They can try but they're never gonna run us down, down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. Fifth gear but they're never gonna race us down, down. I'm alive on a high, blue skies, there's nothing better. Hands up, we're on a ride, hold tight, we're laughing together. Ooh, we light it up and ooh, we can't be stopped and oh, can't hear us coming. Stop at the riverside, crack 'em open, pass around the light. Breathe it in and out, bring our guards down. Yeah, this is ours for the day and the night. Cause there's love and the strength in numbers. They can try, but they're never gonna run us down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. Fifth gear, but they're never gonna race us down.